are united in diversity. We are very heterogeneous in our opinion.
We are doing this in our open democracies, discussing this all open and loud, and I'm not for that.
What is European Union? What is freedom? How we learn together.
The obvious question is, what is the EU doing? What is our plan?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to our next session at Politico's Competitive Europe Summit. My name is Julia Werle. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Politico here in Europe. And we are now turning our attention to one of the most dynamic and high-stakes sectors in Europe, the pharmaceutical industry powered by Efpia. To cover this very critical topic with me, I'm delighted to be joined on stage by Emma Charles.
Hi, everybody.
So Emma is the Senior Vice President for the Europe region at Bristol-Myers Squibb, and she's a seasoned pharmaceutical executive with extensive experience across geographies and companies in this sector.
Nice to meet you, Julia. Good afternoon, everybody.
So before we start the interview, I wanted to give a brief reminder to the audience. When we speak about medicines and the pharmaceutical industry, it's important to recognize its two key segments. It's innovative and generic. The innovative pharmaceutical industry is driven by the discovery and development of new therapies, supported by cutting-edge research and investment into intellectual property. The generic industry, on the other hand, focuses on providing affordable versions of existing medicines once patents expire. Both cover the full cycle of medicine. As Bristol-Myers Squibb is an innovative company, our conversation today will focus on the challenges and opportunities facing this segment of the industry. So I'm very happy to have that discussion with you, and let me start with the first question. How would you describe the current pharmaceutical environment in Europe from a company perspective?
Thank you for the question, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to be part of this discussion and panel with Efpia. The pharmaceutical innovative company is a very vibrant industry because we have so much to do and there is such a high unmet medical need for patients. Our objective is to improve patient lives. So we really want to discover and develop new treatment to be able to improve the quality of life and health of patients. On the economical side, we are a very strong employer. We employ as an industry more than 1 million citizens in Europe and support another 1 million of citizens. We have a very high quality workforce dedicated to research and development. If you look at the economical advantage, there is over 220 billion surplus in trade generated by the pharmaceutical industry. And we are an industry that is dedicated to research and development. So if you look at the comprehensive investment of this industry in R&D, it's more than 50 billion euro invested in research and development. So this is why I would say it is a critical partner, it is a critical industry for Europe, and we hope that Europe is going to maintain its competitiveness to protect and defend and develop this industry.
Mm-hmm. So there are massive numbers, but what strengths does Europe offer that still makes it an attractive market for the pharmaceutical industry?
So I would give you a few examples. As a US company, BMS is investing in Europe significantly. If I talk about my company, we have over 6,000 employees, but we have also invested in manufacturing sites, R&D sites. So we have manufacturing sites in Ireland and Switzerland. We have hubs in terms of discovery and R&D in Spain and in the UK. And so Europe is a very attractive market. Why it is attractive? It is because there is a fabulous scientific ecosystem of scientists, researchers, academy, centers of discovery, and the quality of science in Europe is a fantastic ecosystem for partnership as well, and making sure that we support the advanced and breakthrough therapy. Also in Europe, we have the chance and the fortune to have universal coverage for healthcare. So it is not in every country that you have that. And we are very fortunate for a patient in Europe to have access to an oncology treatment free of charge in a hospital. This is not the case in every country. So Europe has this advantage. And we need to defend that. And how do we need to defend that? By making sure governments see the value of innovation, see the value of the breakthrough treatment and innovation in medicine as an investment and not as a cost. Mm-hmm. And so it is important for European Commission and European government to really protect this industry and make sure that, for example, we have intellectual property that is protecting our pattern, because as you know, this industry is investing tremendous amount of money in R&D. And it's not like every molecule that we have in our pipeline is successful. We have many failures, and this is basically the nature of experimentation. So once we have a molecule that has demonstrated its efficacy and its tolerability and need for patients, it is important that we have a legal and regulatory frame that is enable us to operate with a patent.
Mm-hmm. So at the US headquartered company, what would it take for Bristol Myers Squibb to prioritize significant new investments in Europe? So what are the main two things you would say?
I think it's not like we are choosing one region over another. I can give you an example that recently my company identified a European-based company to partner because of the quality and the development of discovery they have developed in oncology. And so we have chosen to partner with this particular company in Europe because we know science will lead our partnership, and we want to invest in this company to make sure that we will co-develop and commercialize this new antibody in oncology. So it's really led by, first of all, where is the science? Where can we identify some partners that we can, where we can, co-develop and partner for the commercialization of some new assets. But it's also linked to the framework, because once a product gets an EMA approval, which is a European regulatory approval, it's not like every citizen in Europe will have access to this medicine immediately. Some countries will be faster than others. Usually Germany, Austria are the first country to commercialize, launch, and kind of get through the reimbursement process. But in some other country, for a patient, you have to wait for sometimes 2 years, 3 years before you get access to the same medication. So for Europe, I think there is a need of recognition of innovation, acceleration of access for patients, and these are really important to be recognized as an industry as well, that provide our mission, which is transforming life of patients.
Mm-hmm. And can you also share some examples where you choose to invest outside Europe due to more favorable conditions, for example, and what lessons Europe can learn from that?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because as a global company, we are operating in basically everywhere. Before being in charge of Europe, I was in charge of international, so I was looking at China, I was looking at Australia, Korea, South America, and I can tell you that we follow where the science is. We follow where we found some, breakthrough potential treatment, and therefore I can talk about a recent acquisition that my company did just at the beginning of this year. We have spotted a very interesting startup developing a radiopharmaceutical therapy in an area where we don't have many treatments, and in an area where we need to have a targeted precision medicine in oncology, and we decided to acquire this company. And this company is a US company. And so not only we acquired the company, but we also decided to invest in a manufacturing site in Indianapolis, because this is where the company is based. But it could have been the case for an EU-based company. So I think for Europe, what is important in terms of like policy is to make sure there is an ecosystem for startup to develop their activity and to make sure they have enough investments to continue their dreams, you know, their mission to discover and develop new treatments.
Okay. So what does a competitive Europe mean to a company like Bristol Myers Squibb in practical terms?
It's all about the balance between, I would say, investments and then a sustainable economical framework where we can basically see that there is a frame in terms of regulatory, in terms of IP, intellectual property, and in terms of access to medicine. Again, it's about the patient. Patient need to get access equally wherever you are in Europe. And so that's something that the industry is, very concerned about, is the delay in accessing some of the innovative medicine, and that we are trying to basically reduce to make sure that a patient in Spain will have equal chances to be treated than a patient in Germany in a fast manner. Because obviously we are dealing with, especially my company, we are dealing with life-threatening disease, where sometimes you need to be fast, because if a patient is not treated within 6 months or 12 months or even shorter, then the prognostic of, vital prognostic is in danger. So I think this is all about, having this framework that is allowing the industry to invest for long-term investment and allowing patients to be ready to get the medicine on time when it's needed.
Thank you so much, Emma, for these insights. I think it's a very important topic for every one of us, from a professional and from a private perspective. You made very clear and insightful reflections on what Europe needs to strengthen its competitiveness for the pharmaceutical sector. And you namely mentioned recognizing and rewarding innovation through a modernized and efficient regulatory framework, so that we can have all the medicine here very much at the beginning. And you've also very much highlighted the importance of a stronger IP protections and improved market conditions in order to be present and to stay with a lot of investments here. Let's now turn to our next panel and see whether they share your perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.